comes into role play, the practice and the skill sets that kind of make us better in doing our jobs daily. Honestly, just the energy you guys bring, it helps everyone practice a little bit more. So I really appreciate that. That actually starts my day off amazingly when you guys come in and bring that energy. I love that. Let's start with gratitudes and wins from the week. And I know that we shared this yesterday too, but anything new? Yes.
Yeah, I'm grateful for Phil yesterday. I learned a lot in that hour with him. Just it was amazing. Yeah, that was good. The income, just the way he runs his business.
I love that. I love that. That's wonderful. I know. Just creating cash flow, making a fortune. That's what we're doing here, right? There was a quote saying 40 hours. Who said that? George I think says this. 40 hours pays the bills. Anything on top of that, you build your fortune. And you want this to build and build and build so you're able to live the life that you want to. Right? I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? Gratitudes? Wins? Yes.
So I am grateful for, I hope this comes out right. I mean, I was talking to a buddy yesterday, and we were talking about how this business can grind you down to a pulp. They can grind you down to ashes.
Yep.
And then George comes into my head and is saying about those who stay will be champions. And what he's meaning by that is if anybody comes into this business and truly engage in everything it has to offer, you truly want to get better and challenge yourself, you're first going to be jammed into the ground, stepped on, spit upon, and then if you want to keep going and stay with it, you'll rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
And so it's just a matter of going through all that in order to get to the top. But it's weird because you first got to go through hell before you can get to heaven, you know?
Absolutely. And you know, they say if you do what you're supposed to do, it will catch up. I mean, you are a prime example of that. Look how frustrating the first few months can be, right? The learning, just the practice every day to get better and better and better on the phones, just to get an appointment. You get one appointment, you're like, oh, I got this, you know, and then you close, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So it's just, it drives you to get better every day, and I love that. I love that statement. I'll never forget that, rising from the ashes, because it's true. You go through the nitty-gritty every day. Yes, Matt.
So speaking of getting better every day, some people don't know this about me, but I actually get kind of a hothead a little bit. And over the years, I've gotten a lot better. Actually, the last 10 years, I've gotten a lot better at it since I've been married to my wife. And yesterday, I had an opportunity. I lost my temper yesterday, and I'm just grateful for this business that allows me the ultimate opportunity to work on my temperance and my patience.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
I love that, because the type of people that we work with every day,
Yeah.
right? It can really test you.
Yeah.
And I love that. Thank you. I didn't know you had a temper. Well,
Would have
hopefully
never
we don't
thought
have to. Hopefully we don't have to see that. We don't throw pens in this stuff everywhere. Storming off. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And you know, honestly, like when we do role plays and we try to fit in the different personalities, that does just make us better. Even though we're talking about the real life scenarios, still just testing our patience with each and every person that we come across. Everyone's different, right? You're like, okay, just breathe. You know, I love that. Thank you. Anyone else? Gratitude, wins? Okay. Oh, please, Jeff.
I'll share something that might be encouraging to you. George talks about having faith. You gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. Well, sometimes we don't have faith.
Yeah.
And one of the affirmations I have on my mirror is have faith that you can have faith. So in other words, just keep going until that faith catches up to you, and stick with what you're doing, and the faith will come. And when you get the faith, it takes a lot of the pain away.
I love that, Jeff. Because honestly, day to day, the challenges that you see, you lose it sometimes. You're like, oh, this is not working. This is not working. And you get into your own head.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that everywhere, I have faith it's going to get better. I have faith because it's a practice. It's everyday life that gets you better. Yes, Wayne.
I think I've said it before, but I just like the practice that we get here, and that I can make those stupid mistakes here in front of somebody that doesn't matter, opposed to, and then I'll know what to do and what to say when it does matter.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. Yes, Brenda.
Just back on Phil Harvey, when he said Robert Kiyosaki was something that, you know, when he started listening and working with him, that's exactly what happened to me. I had such different ideas about investing.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to really start investing or learning anything about money, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I would highly encourage it. You need to listen, need to read, because it changed my world. I got the CDs, gosh, that was 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
And now I have 18 rentals. But I would have never if I hadn't started thinking and listening, because it
Right.
changed my whole way of thinking.
Absolutely.
You have to think out of the box.
I love that. Absolutely. You should definitely get that book. It really has so much meaning into your everyday life and how you can build a fortune. And not even make so much effort. Like Phil says, honestly, he said yesterday, it doesn't take a lot in order to purchase a home. You just have to have the ability and know how to do it and when to do it and ask for advice. If you are interested, ask someone that is good at investment and just really start breaking down the numbers and see how they can possibly work for you. And yes, Matt.
The one thing I caught from him yesterday and I can see in him is the magic juice in all of that is the word discipline.
Discipline.
If you're
Absolutely.
disciplined with your money, you can do HELOCs, you can do crazy stuff that people say don't touch
Right?
because the normal person can't touch or the bank
Yeah.
stuff. But if you're
Yeah.
disciplined,
Yeah.
you can have 40, 50 rental properties because you're doing that.
Absolutely, and it's the fear, not knowing how it's gonna work out or how I'm gonna go about it. So getting educated and asking questions and starting to learn so much about even just one aspect at a time, right? I love that. And he said it doesn't happen overnight, but if you have the interest and that spark is in your mind, start asking questions just so you can build your future. I think that's amazing. I love it that here we have that ability to learn more. We get people that come in and share their strategies, and that's what I love about this company. That's what I love about our environment, is that they share the techniques and strategies that they use on a daily basis. Yes, John.
So it was awesome. It was a fantastic thing to go to and to listen to. And the number one complaint I hear when people talk about rentals is I don't want to fix a leaky toilet at midnight. And so, I mean, Phil obviously said, yeah, I have proper managers.
It's the way to go.
And Matt just said that real estate, helping people buy and sell, is going to cause you a slightly at risk. So basically, no matter what you do, you're going to have headaches.
You are.
Are they going to pay you good enough that you can take 10 months off and have more income than before you left?
Absolutely. What it comes down to, is it worth it? Nothing comes easy, guys, right? If it would, I mean, even when you go to a job, you are so bound to a schedule, and you're doing that for someone else. So they're able to set the value on your time. And so that's what I actually wanted to talk about today. Prospecting and skill sets. It's just, I love it because when we come into role play in the morning and you see everyone improving their skills on a daily basis, and we talk about the struggles on prospecting. Time blocking is something that I had to start doing because for me, I want to do everything and anything all day long. I just want to help everybody. But if I waver from my schedule, I don't get things done. Then I'm here late, I'm working later, you're off your schedule. And so I just wanted to talk about these things, okay? How many here do time blocking for their schedules? How many are very disciplined in following their time blocking? Okay, right? It happens. How many people start thinking about their schedule months at a time? Evan? Jeff? Yeah, you kind of put down your schedule, okay, this is what I need to do because you have your goals in mind. But how many people do it on a weekly basis? Like okay, great. A few hands go up. On Sunday night, like we've been talking about this with agents, and I know we have a lot of events, we have meetings and we have trainings and things that come up in your life, so you want to manage those things. But should you at least know your schedule by Sunday night for the week? You should know, right?
So it's not surprising.
Good shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're able to do that, like this week or next week we have Summit and then we have the trainings, and if you ask the right questions or you're able to consult with your spouse or your family members, hey, what's going on this week? And then you're able to make that schedule, because if you don't fit in prospecting, your job is not valuable for the day, right? If you're not prospecting, you're not feeding your business, you're not really accomplishing anything for your business of that day. Does that make sense? Like if you're not prospecting for the day, you're not filling up your pipeline. Therefore, like if we get a client, let's say we get an appointment and you go set at the appointment and you're really excited and we start celebrating, but it doesn't close for another 45 days or 60 days. It could take up to a couple of months, possibly. What are you doing on a daily basis to fill up that schedule so you are closing consistently and filling up your pipeline? Time blocking is really important, and there's so many sources of business, so I just wanted to start with, we've been going through the elements, I think I went over 6, but there's actually 12. I just wanted to go over just a few key things that we've been writing down, because I've been talking to agents, and you guys, I struggle with it too. When I'm able to think about my schedule and the meetings and everything we got going on in the office and how I need to recruit and prospect myself, then I start time blocking, because if I don't do it, then I don't follow my schedule. This doesn't work.
Throw that away.
We'll throw that one away. Let's just do, let's start with set an achievable goal. And what I mean is be realistic, but set your goal a little bit higher per week, okay? Contacts. I'm talking about contacts and intention of appointments. And I want us to try to work on this on a Sunday night. Like, if you think about what you did the week prior, if you're able to just brainstorm and share with your family too, hey, this week and on Friday before you leave, find out what the office is doing. Find out your events, personal events. Talk about family, kids, anything that's going on the following week. So Sunday night, when you're relaxing and you're preparing for Monday coming up, are you able to time block and work around it so you can prospect? Either you're prospecting in the morning, like I know some people in here are very consistent on prospecting. They even turn off their phones. I can't even get a hold of a couple of the agents on my team because, like, why are you calling me? It's 10 o'clock. I'm prospecting till 11. And so they do that because they're able to manage. Now, we have a lot of meetings. We have things that go on. But if you're able to know what's already and you build around it, if there's things that you can't miss, like how many in here do real estate part-time? Anybody? Okay, that's awesome. But we do have some part-timers. And what I tell them is, okay, go home, make your schedule with your family and your kids first, work around this and let's be as efficient as possible in the time that you are working. And even work with your family, because you need that family support in order to set that goal. Set an achievable goal, but something that you can achieve on a daily basis and increase on a weekly basis if you want to. Yes, Chris?
Just real quick, something to go with achievable, make sure it's measurable.
Measurable,
Sometimes we
absolutely.
say, sure, I'm gonna try hard, or today's gonna be better, but it's not exactly measurable. So that goes along with the context.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt?
Yeah, with contacts, have you ever read, oh my gosh. I forgot the name of it, it's the Wild Important Goals, you're talking about, lead measures, lag measures, anybody know what I'm talking about? No? Well, there's a book, dang it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a book called, 4 Disciplines of Execution. It talks about lag measures, lead measures, and there's things that specifically you have control over that will drive your goals.
Absolutely.
And you have nothing more in your control than the number of contacts you make with this business. You can't control if the other person on the other side of the line is a motivated seller or buyer.
Yeah.
You can't control how many contacts you make every day.
Absolutely. And you know what actually counts as a contact, right? You want to count that, and what is your goal for how many leads you want to get, how many appointments you want to get, and how many follow-ups that you can possibly do, right? 2, I just want to, if we're talking about this and the sources, now it just depends on how much you prospect and how much time you can block off. Let's talk about the sources of business real quick. Everyone here goes through different type of sources. Number 1, of course, FSBOs are probably the best ones and the most difficult. Why? Because they're motivated now. They're doing for sale by owners now. Me and Amar, we talked about this yesterday, remember? For sale by owners are ready to sell. They're probably the best target for you is who you can possibly help. So if you can get good at for sale by owners, they're in the business now. They're selling now. They want to sell now. They want to do it themselves, and there's a reason why. It's either money or the objections that they get. We don't want to use an agent. We know what we're doing. We can do this. But if you're able to practice your skill sets and try to get for sale by owners, that's now business. What's another good one that is able to, expires, everyone's angry, right? Let's talk about that for a second.
That's not a good attitude, Ruby.
They're angry because it didn't sell, or it just didn't, the opportunity, they tried it and they didn't want to. Some of them are angry, some of them are scared, some of them have the fear of wanting to use someone or not.
Expireds have already agreed to pay a commission
Yeah.
and they've already signed a contract.
Absolutely.
Now we just have to get them to sign it with us.
Absolutely. You know what, SOI expires, I would just kind of go, you work expired, I can tell, right? It's great, but the main focus is when you're calling an expired, they've been called so many times. That's what I mean, like they're already getting called by all the agents. They're like, no, we don't want to sell, no, we this, but there's so many reasons why an expired doesn't sell. Yes, Evan.
Rentals.
What?
Rentals.
Call rental properties.
Rental
Rentals,
properties.
yeah, that's a good one.
Because if many times they're getting sick and tired of people that you know they're really hard, they're really difficult, and they start giving up and they just want to sell it.
That's true, that's true. That's a really great source. We have quite a few agents that love doing door knocking.
And they're not
Because-
getting called as much.
They're not, that's true. A lot of people are not but they're more buyer leads. And if you like working with buyers, I think that's a great opportunity to call them saying, hey, interest rates are amazing right now. Our lending company doesn't charge origination fees. Those are great opening segues for you to either, you can even use that during door knocking. If we're doing door knocking, it's time consuming, right? I mean, Timber, you love door knocking. Share with us a little bit. If you door knock 2 or 3 hours, the vital part of that is your follow-up, right?
Yeah, and I think that you have to not be as focused on a higher number of contacts because your types of conversations are going to be longer and
Absolutely.
but the rate of ability to set an appointment, I think at a lower number is higher.
Absolutely. And if you're able to, like, here, I think the skill set would be your presentations, right? The type of value that you're offering during door knocking. And how much time are you blocking for your prospecting and door knocking? And then the vital part of that is follow-up. How soon do you follow up with a door knock if you had a decent conversation with them and it's a lead? How soon do you follow
I
up?
struggle a lot with follow-up. It's something I'm working on right now. Generally, it really depends on the conversation. Obviously, if it's somebody I set an appointment with, then I'm following up with them pretty immediately. If it's somebody who said, they really can't set an appointment, but they need to talk to somebody, okay, then I'm gonna call you tomorrow. Or
Right.
I need to chat with my daughter because she's the one that's buying, then it depends on what it is. If it's just an SOI or keeping up on the market, then it's maybe even just like once or twice a year, it's not huge.
Wow.
Because there are some people who are just really not doing anything.
So do you get immediate business from door knocking?
Mhm.
That's amazing. Follow-up is the key to door knocking. People don't forget faces. They'll forget your name. They don't forget faces. If you have a decent conversation with somebody and you get a lead or you get a phone number, I would say you follow up with the same week or the next week.
So the same way.
The same week. You don't want to give it more than a few days because if somebody says, no, I don't want to sell, sometimes it's more like, not yet. Right? So you want to follow up and you want to give them that value. Right now, we can take advantage of the interest rates and give them that value. Even if you're just calling just listed, just sold. I love them because they're a soft call instead of a cold call, right? If you do just listed and just sold, I mean, look how many sources of business we can possibly have.
Well, right there,
Make it
Ruby
sound-
is a really good one to call them for the interest rates. Just wanna
Exactly.
make you aware, here's what's going on. And by the way, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? Have you decided to buy or sell?
Absolutely. If you offer them that and you have that opening like, hey, this is Ruby, and number one is if you have a just listed with anybody in the company, if you pull up everything that we have listed on the MLS within our company and you like a neighborhood and we have a listing in that neighborhood, that is absolutely amazing for you to use, saying my team just listed this property down the street. I just showed it to some buyers, it doesn't work out for them. Do you know anyone that wants to move into your neighborhood? It's beautiful. Oh, great. No, I don't know anyone. Are you sure? Interest rates are so amazing right now. Do you know what the interest rates are right now? They're as low as 3.85. You're like, wow, it is? That's amazing. Well, do you know anyone in your family that would love to move into the neighborhood? How long have you been here? How long have you lived here? What do you love about the neighborhood? There's just so many ways to open a conversation when you're doing a just listed, just sold. Right? Like what else? What else can you offer them when you're calling a just listed, just sold?
Taxation. What is their taxes doing? That's coming up November, right?
Yeah.
It's a great time to be calling and say, where's your taxations?
You know, is this something you want to challenge? Is this something you want to look at, evaluate? It gives you an opportunity to have deep, good conversations right now.
Absolutely. There's so many ways that you can start a conversation. If you're nervous about where the value is, if you want to have a decent conversation with an SOI, that's another thing. Interest rates right now. The value. Hey, I just got into the business. If you're new and you know that our company is touching every 1 out of 5 transactions, are you using that? Saying that, hey, if you're new in the business, especially if you've just moved over to Century 21, like Chris as an example, if you're calling your friends and you're saying, hey, Chris, this is Ruby. You know, I just joined over Century 21. I'm so excited about getting into real estate and getting things going for myself, and I'm trying to help out 2 or 3 more families out in the next 30 days. Interest rates are so amazing right now. Who do you know that wants to buy? Right? Then you have, yes?
One more great one to be using is absolutely what Phil was doing yesterday. Have you considered buying an insurable, rentable, tangible product that doesn't deplete when you pull money from it?
Absolutely.
It's a great question to be asking with any of these categories. That's
Anyone.
how you approach it to add value.
Yeah, especially your SOI and people
Oh
who
yeah,
already know,
absolutely.
and they say no or not. Have you thought about investing in your future
There
in
you
real
go.
estate? Yes.
You talked about the opening, and these are all examples of a good opening.
Yeah.
For me, what I assign to it is what story am I telling? Like people typically, if you are excited about the story that you have to say, and one example I use, I mean, for instance, Just Listed just sold. If I am excited about some condo going for under $100,000, I mean, if I'm excited about it, people don't know the difference, right? I could talk about different interest rates, but if I'm excited about it, it pulls in interest. So
Absolutely.
when you know the group you're reaching out to, identify with the group, and then that story is going to become relevant. And then from there, when you get to the purpose of the call, you already have buy-in from them. So, and I'm just saying this because I hear so many times, and I hear it myself, if I'm doing so many calls and contacts throughout a day, how good is that story that you're telling? Are you excited about it, or does it sound robotic? Are you just looking to get through it and just doing an opening? So be excited, look at the story you're telling, and typically the better you do that, you're going to have a better response rate depending on how that opening is.
Absolutely. You know, like we talked about the energy and the confidence that you bring in the authority of anything that you're saying, right? If you believe it, they'll believe it. I love that, Matt.
Yeah, you know, something about, as we're talking about all these contact types, just to reiterate what Chris is saying, you know, you have that energy, excitement. Sometimes we're so focused on the contacts that we don't. Actually, I was reading about this race that was up, or I think it was this race up to the North Pole or something like that.
Yeah.
And one group basically just like pushed through and they muscled through and they try to get there first. And like, we can't afford to take breaks. We got to get as much, you know, every step forward is progress.
Yeah, right.
The other team had enforced breaks.
Yeah.
And guess who actually got there successfully and got there first? The enforced breaks. And so, you know, especially my personality, I try to be like, I'm not a wuss. I'm going to push past. Keep on. I need more contacts. If I don't take a break, I'll get 10 more contacts today. You know, and then the quality suffers.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So enforced breaks while we're doing this, you know, 10 minutes every hour is going to make a difference.
Absolutely. I honestly think refueling yourself is so important. That's why, honestly, time blocking is really important, because if you're able to time block and you're like, no, this is what I'm doing at this hour, and don't waver from it, you're able to do that. But if you're not and you're struggling with your prospecting, like, oh, I didn't do my prospecting, I gotta fit this in, I gotta fit this in here, then what happens is you're struggling, you're overwhelmed, you're handling follow-ups in between, you're doing emails in between, you're doing prospecting in between, and then you're working late and you're doing this, and everything else suffers for the day. Yes, Evan.
I don't focus more on the contacts, on how many contacts I'm making.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on how many appointments I'm taking. If I'm more quality, instead of thinking about the quantity, then I'm focusing on my skill sets
I like that.
Rick is teaching us here,
Yeah.
you guys are teaching us here. And we can not, you know, my contacts are probably about 20 a day.
Yeah.
And I'm setting between 3 to 6 appointments a day. Because I'm focusing on the quality, not the quantity.
Absolutely. And you know that, again, it falls into your practice. the more you practice. Like sometimes if we're new, we're actually just scared to get on the phone. But if you think about it, hey, I need to practice, and there's no better way to do it than just being hands-on. Honestly, that is the best way you're going to learn. Because getting real life objections over the phone, and don't just write down the things that you're struggling with, write down the things that work for you. Like something that has worked for you, the way you handle something, write those down. Don't just write down, oh, I screwed up on this call because of this. But when you have a good call, write down those tips so you know what works for you. Quality versus quantity. I love that because it's so important. Eventually, when you become really good with your skill sets and you know what to say and you're honed down with the type of contact that you want. If you're great at for sale by owners or expires, Daniel, you know, like I think that you know which route you want to go and you improve those sales skills and the way you handle it and you believe that story because if it works with one client, let's say if it works with an expired, you're like, I got this, I know what they need, but every person's different. So what happens is you go back to your skill sets. And you have to time block to improve the skill sets every day. Everyone that comes into role play or does it throughout the day, or I would say, you know, if you have a difficult client, like Matt and Evan, they role played yesterday. And Evan was actually playing one of his clients. That's what he was talking about yesterday. And it was very difficult. I was sitting next to Evan, I almost lost my patience. And I was like, oh, come on, answer the question. And Matt's like, that's okay, I want to handle every type, and it's true. That is just how you improve your sales skills. It's because it's hands-on scenarios. I don't think we can get that anywhere else but practice on a day-to-day basis. Evan, you were going to say something.
Yeah, where I got this from is from Stephen Covey. I don't know if you've listened to him, but he talks about the saw, about sharpening the saw.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that was going at it, not getting anywhere, and the guy that stopped and sharpened and then went back, he sawed right through it faster than the guy that didn't stop and develop his skills.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's the day-to-day grind gets easier if you build your skill set. That is just how it is. It's in this business. You are your own boss. And so depending on what you want to do, think about you running a company. Think about you hiring agents. What are you offering them? How much do you want them to work? How many work at least 8 to 10 hours a day? Right? That's vital. That's absolutely vital. If you are out working a job and they're setting a price on your time, how valuable are you to yourself? Show the value, right? Number 4, if it takes like 40 to 60 days to close, how are you filling up your pipeline?
Good question.
I mean, we're not now just thinking about the next month, we're thinking about 2020. How are you filling up your pipeline? If everything is about 30 days out, if we're lucky, right, Paul? 30 to 45 days out, then how many clients do we need to make this continue so you can close transactions per month?
Ruby, here's one of the points that I think most don't think about enough.
Yeah.
Is the pipeline and what is being prepared. That is something that you have to really zero in on and understand how to sustain based on what's in the pipeline. And it's so easily overlooked.
Yes, ma'am.
I was listening to a podcast, Real Estate Rockstars, and they were talking about statistically, most people are about 11 months out from actually making a decision on whether they're going to buy or sell a home.
Right.
And what they were talking about is how important a good CRM is for you guys, because there's some people in my CRM that I have to take really good notes. I completely forget about them because we go crazy if we remember everybody on pipeline. So the CRM does that for us.
Yeah.
So it comes up, hey, you need to call this person today. You have good notes.
Right.
Able to make a conversation with them, and then 11 months later. And I know there's people that tease, oh, if they're not ready within the next 3 months. What? You'll never make any business if you don't keep people going down the road,
Absolutely. People make decisions, but things change in life all the time. No matter what source of business you are looking at, if you are looking to get in more contacts, what is your source? Door knocking takes longer, but Timbra loves to do door knocking because it's personal contact. People don't forget your in-person presentation, and it works for each other. People, who do we know that calls SOI? Tim. Your main business comes from SOI.
Yeah.
Evan, you too, right? You have so many clientele that you call on a day-to-day basis. But learning all of these skills, the main vital, most important part is follow-up. No matter who it is, even when we're doing our jobs, if we don't follow up with somebody, they're gone to a different company, and it's because we didn't follow up. If you have a client, and let's say they suddenly have a baby, or suddenly they get a job transfer, or suddenly, even though they decided not to move, if you don't follow up, you actually don't know that, right? So follow up is just so, how many keep track of their time on a day-to-day basis? I think Russ teaches a class on time management. It goes in so much more detail on tracking your time every 15-minute increments or every 30-minute increments. Are you guys tracking your time at the end of the day, how productive you're actually being? If I think about it, like yesterday, I only made a few phone calls and I was like, where did the day go? It honestly, like I was in Toastmasters yesterday. I did not practice my speech in time management and I went over by 2.5 minutes. That's why presentations go so long, because you don't prepare. It's okay, I can make fun of myself on that part because I wasn't as prepared. I knew my story, but I didn't refine it. I didn't refine it enough to know that I can do a presentation in a timely manner. Your time is so valuable. You're hiring yourself, so you're sitting across the table from that client, but put yourself in that spot. Would you work with yourself? Are you able to be as successful as you possibly can with your time blocking and with your contacts, with your practice and your follow-up? Those are vital things to put into your schedule, right? Prospecting, follow-up, and skill set practice, and then do the rest of your emails and things later. But try this, guys. On Sunday night, I've been sitting and looking at what we do on a weekly basis, and I'm talking about Summit, I'm talking about Basecamp, I'm talking about Toastmasters. I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I going to fit in recruiting? Where am I going to fit this in? I should be able to do that. But then things come up. Like people will come up. There's problems we have with transactions or contracts or people that we know. But you need to set up time for that. If you're able to time block and do nothing else, then everything else, like you said, right, you have to refill yourself throughout the day. Take breaks throughout the day. If you're able to schedule your time and time block and keep track of what is the most productive day that you have, follow that. And if not, tweak it the next week and the next week until you have it down. I'm challenging myself, so I'm challenging you too. Because if I do this, then this is gonna be great for me. When I waver off of this, I struggle. And then I'm working till like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And we don't leave here until like 7. I'm like, what? Where's the day going? I'm going home and I'm like, oh, tomorrow morning we gotta do this instead of spending time with the family or doing things that are important for us. So just remember that. Chris, sorry, you had your hand up.
No, I just realized what time it is. That was perfect.
Okay. Thank you. And let's finish the week strong. I love your guys' energy and let's go. Okay. Close up.
Kills.